So you've bought your legendary modern decks, then you need to decide which one you want to play. You've picked the one you want to play, then all that's left to do is to build it. So let's get started. Starting off with Sky Strikers. So what I've done is I've laid this all out. So these are the cards that come with inside the Sky Striker version of the modern decks. These are the cards that come in the other modern decks. Mainly they're going to be the Mitsurugis. These are the cards you're going to want to be able to pick up, and they're not really going to cost an arm and a leg, so they can keep it very, very cheap and tidy. There's a couple of cards in the extra deck that I'll take you through as well that might need a little bit of investment, but nothing wild. And then we've got the entire side deck here as well, which does contain cards that are in the legendary modern decks, and then again, just a very small investment. So what I'll do at the end of the video as well is I'll show you a very basic kind of like combo for the deck. But if you want to see more from the deck and maybe even see me take this on the next episode of the local experience, make sure you get the video above 50 likes in the first 24 hours and I'll be more than happy to do that for you. So, diving head first into the profile, starting off with the cards that are already inside the sealed Sky Striker version of this deck. So you're going to start off with, of course, 3 Sky Striker Ace Ray. This is your main normal summon of the deck, if at all any. You try to avoid using your normal summon where at all possible, and this is the one that you want to use it on. So I'm just going to bring the camera in a little bit more there for us. But the idea is this is going to pretty much cover everything you need to. Sky Striker Ace Ray, for those of you who are new to the deck, has a quick effect to tribute it to then special summon a Sky Striker Ace monster from the extra deck to the extra monster zone. While this card is in the graveyard, if a face-up Sky Striker Ace Link monster you control is destroyed by battle or leaves the field because of an opponent's card effect, you get to special summon this card back. You can only use each effect once per turn, but the idea is that Ray is just such an incredibly powerful card on its own. The fact that more times than not, some people will use this effect to tribute off into the Link monster, or you just link it off into one of your Link 1 Link monsters. It is insane that when it leaves, when one of your Link monsters leaves the field, it then just floats back, and then because it has that quick effect, it can start tagging out into all the different extra deck monsters that start to add you cards back from the graveyard, cards from the deck, stopping your opponent attacking. You know, it's endless. The other card that we're going to be playing is 2 of the Sky Striker Ace Rose. So if a Sky Striker Ace monster is normal or special, except itself, except during a down step as well, you get to special on this card from the hand. If an opponent's monster in the extra monster zone is destroyed by battle or leaves the field because of your card effect, while this card is in the graveyard, you get to special summon it, then you get to negate the effects of a face-up monster your opponent controls. Now, the reason you're going to be playing 2 of this is because of your best ace monster in the extra deck being the Sky Striker Ace Zero. This one has to specifically summon Rose and Ray, so if you only play one Rose and they're able to banish it, you're never going to be able to get the non-destruction effect of this card, and this card is just crazy good. Then the most insane card ever printed is Pot of Greed for Sky Strikers in the form of Sky Striker Mobilize Engage. So why is this considered as a Pot of Greed? Well, very simply, you get to activate it, and then if you control no monsters in your main monster zone, which is the majority of Sky Striker cards, you get to add any Sky Striker card from the deck to the hand except itself. However, if you also have 3 spell cards in the graveyard on resolution, you also get to draw 1 card as well. So the idea is you're going to be playing a lot of either quick play spell cards or field breaking spell cards in the form of Raigekis, even cards that help you get to cards like Engage in the form of Triple Tactics Thrust, and that's then going to allow you to kind of get 3 spells in the graveyard and draw you an additional card off of Engage, and at no point on Engage is it a hard once per turn. So the fact of the matter is, with your Sky Striker A0, you have the ability to add a Engage back from the graveyard. Also, the exact same thing with Kagari, you get to add an Engage back from the graveyard or any Sky Striker spell. And the benefit of something like that is you can technically resolve your Engage 5 times in a turn, which means you get 5 searches and then 5 draws, which is insane. Some of the cards you're going to want to try and search off of the back of your Engage is going to be, again, one of your more powerful spell cards in the form of your Sky Striker Mobilize Linkage. So again, if you control no monsters in the main monster zone, you get to special summon from the extra deck for the rest of the turn after this card resolves, except Sky Striker Ace monsters. Also, you send 1 other card you control to the graveyard, and if you do, special summon a Sky Striker Ace monster from the extra deck to the extra monster zone. And if you have at least 1 light and 1 dark, being your Rose and your Ray more times than not, in your graveyard, then the Sky Striker Ace monster you summon will gain 1000 attack. And again, this card is not a hard once per turn. As long as you just have no monsters in the main monster zone and a card to send, you can keep utilizing Linkage, which is just other ways of, during the battle phase, to basically give all of your cards Raise effect within reason, because you get to go, cool, attack, then use Linkage, tag it out, go into the next one, attack, and on and on and on you go. Then we're on 3 Sky Striker Mecha Widow Anchor. So if you control no monsters in the main monster zone, target a face-up effect monster on the field, negate that face-up monster's effect until the end of the turn, and then if you have 3 or more spell cards in the graveyard, you get to take control of that monster until the end phase. Now, sometimes it is beneficial to take control of that monster, but remember a lot of your Sky Striker cards say as long as you don't have a card in the main monster zone, which is why a card like Forbidden Droplet puts in so much work, because if you steal one of your opponent's monsters, you can then Forbidden Droplet and send it and then off you go. Then we do play one of the modern cards in the form of the Lemnis Gate. So this is one of the very few Sky Striker spell cards that doesn't care if you have a card in your main monster zone, which was one of the biggest weaknesses of Sky Strikers back in the day, is that your opponent could very easily go, here, have a Kaiju, and then all of your spells and traps, technically of your Sky Strikers, would be shut off. Whereas now, you get to target an equal number of Sky Striker Ace monsters and Sky Striker spells in your graveyard, shuffle them into the deck, and then for every 3 card shuffled, non-target, return up to 1 card on the field to the hand. If a Sky Striker monster or monsters is special summoned to your field, while this card is in the graveyard, except during damage step, banish this card, immediately after the effect resolves, link summon a Sky Striker Ace Link monster. Only use each effect once per turn. Now keep in mind as well, and I probably should have mentioned this at the start of the video, this is only one Sky Striker deck. This isn't I've bought 3 Legendary Modern decks, I've bought 1 Legendary Modern deck, this is how you're going to build it. None of these you need multiples of. This is literally just a single copy of the deck, which is, again, even more insane. Then we've got the one Afterburners. So again, no monsters in the main monster zone. You get to target a face-up monster your opponent controls, well, face-up monster on the field, destroy it, and then if you have 3 or more spells in the graveyard, non-target destroy a spell or trap on the field. There is the alternative to that one as well, which basically targets a spell or trap on the field, and then if you have 3 or more, you destroy a monster, which is, I believe, Wave Cannon. I do have the cast to one side, so I'll get that one. Jamming Waves, Wave Cannon. Pretty much the same. But that's the opposite. Sometimes you don't play that just because of the amount of spells around. It's probably a bit more consistent to use the monster one. Then we have the one Sky Striker Mecha Hornet Drones. Again, no monster in the main monster zone. You get to special on this card as a token, which is why you do have one here. There you go. The Sky Striker Ace token that also comes inside the structure deck, or the deck itself. And then if you have 3 or more spells in the graveyard, that token will gain 1,500 attack as well, which can be quite useful. And then the final Sky Striker card is the Shark Cannon. So if you control no monsters in the main monster, target 1 monster in your opponent's graveyard and then banish it. Or if you have 3 spells in the graveyard or more, you get to revive it to your field. So again, it's another way of taking control of one of your opponent's monsters, but more times than not, you're just using it as your own form of banishing. And then continue with your generic spell cards. We've got 3 Upstart Goblin. Yes, you kind of want to rely less on the Upstart Goblin because the deck can do a very specific 8k OTK, which I'll show you at the end of the video. But it's one thing to remember that if you're playing the Upstart Goblin, the other is you're putting a normal spell in the graveyard and you're basically increasing the play of your engage even more. It doesn't respect Draw and Lockbird, so these are cards you could reduce down a little bit if you wanted to, but it's one of them ones to speed up the game so you can get into cards like your Widow Anchors, your engages, and just kind of beat your opponent by pure advantage. And then the final 3 cards that are inside the Sky Striker deck themselves is 1 Reinforcement of the Army because your Row and your Rays are warriors, 1 Trill Tactic Talents, just a power normal spell card, and then 1 Call by the Grave. Continuing on with the main deck as well, we've got 3 Forbidden Droplets which come from the Mitsurugi deck. This card again is a quick play spell card. More times than not, you're going to be sending spells rather than monsters, but there are times with hand interactions with like Ash Blossoms and Ghost spells that you'll be able to send them as well. But again, it's just a quick play spell card, can negate cards, monsters on the field, and then it also puts other spells in the graveyard for you. Other cards you could consider if you wanted to add them to the deck is back in the day they used to be able to play Metal Foes Fusion because you get to put it back into the deck and draw a card, which is a nice putting a spell in the grave and refresh. And then you play Foolish Burial of Goods, which let you send that spell card from the deck to the grave. So instantly you would have 2 spell cards in the grave. All you need to do is activate 1 more spell card and then your engage would become a search and a draw. And then we've got 3 Ash Blossoms and Joyous Springs, again, also in the Mitsurugi deck as well. So if you were to just buy the legendary decks themselves, you'd get what you need here. If you were to just buy the Sky Striker one online itself, you'd then be able to pick up some Ash Blossoms, but they're not crazy expensive. To finish off the main deck, these are the cards that are not within any of the legendary modern decks, but these are not going to cost you that much money, and I'll give you an alternative for the card that will probably cost the most as a playset. So we've got 2 Ghost Belt and Haunted Mansion. Not only did these come in the legendary 5Ds decks as common, but they also came as rares in Phantom Revenge. So really easy to pick up. If you have a friend, they might even be able to give you them for free, which is just another bonus. It means that after already spending either £30 or like $30 to $40 on the free decks, or if you're lucky enough, you've just spent $10 on the one single deck of Sky Strikers. And keeping in mind as well, current Sky Striker players would already have most of these cards in this deck. They're only really going to be buying it for the Camellia and then the other Link monsters that we got just for Sky Strikers. The one that is probably going to cost you the most is going to be the Fallen of the Virtuous. So if you did pick up the Fallen of the Albert or Fallen of the Virtuous all foil edition decks, you would have already been able to get access to these. If not, they currently sit around about £15 to £20 for a playset. Unfortunately, I only own Starlight, so apologies. I wanted to try and keep this as low rarity as possible, and this card kind of escapes me on that one. But the idea is, if you want to make it more expensive, you play the Ecclesia Synchro Dragon, but that's £25 on its own. Whereas now you can just play 2 Albions. You could play 3 if you wanted to, but 2 Albions is more than enough. And again, you've got a quick play spell card that can recycle itself, because 1 Fallen of the Virtuous turns into 2 Fallen of the Virtuous, and then just allows you to build on that bit further. Another card that I feel you could replace these with as well, but obviously bump up, is Book of Eclipse. Now, it's not perfect this format right now with Draco Tower running around, but in general, in the Yummy matchup, it can be quite effective for you. When you look at decks like Desiree, when you look at, decks like Desiree, but Fiendsmith decks that are playing with Desirees or they're playing with Wave King Caesars, you can actually activate your Book of Eclipse and that deals with it. It'll also be quite good in the Cool Tune matchup. Yes, they'll have ways to synchro, but they can't. The only ways they'll be able to synchro is using Cool Tune synchro or using Cool Tune Clip. And then they still need to utilize more cards in the hand to get them where they need to go. And it means that you start to limit them to only being able to play RS. And if RS already negates a card, then that's not going to be any use for them whatsoever. And a Book of Eclipse can flip all of their cards down. You get another quick play spell card in the graveyard or just a spell card in general. And then you can follow it up with stuff like Raigekis or anything else in between. Then we've got 2 Forbidden Chalices. The idea behind this one is it's just a better Infinite Impermanence for this particular deck. The reason it's better is, again, it's a spell card, not a trap card, so that spell card will add towards your counts of getting 3 spells in the graveyard to give you additional effects, and also just being able to do that trade-off. Sometimes your opponent will stay away from Infinite Impermanent ways by being able to wait for you to put a monster on the field and then activate something, whereas Forbidden Chalice is one of them ones that a lot of people expect and underappreciate, and it can really catch your opponent off guard. And again, when you're looking at Book of Eclipses and you're looking at Forbidden Chalices, these have had common prints, they've had super prints, they've had every print under the sun. So again, it should be relatively easy to pick up. And honestly, if you don't have them, they are, again, commons. If you have a good friend, they will give you these cards for free. And then the final card is a Crossout Designator. Not only did this come as a stamped ultra rare and technically Starlight rare in Rarity Collection 5, it also came as a common in the most recent legendary 5Ds decks. And the reason you play this is because Ash Blossom and Ghost Bell can be really annoying cards against your deck. But then also when you start to take the side deck into account, you can start to look at stuff like the Mulcharmy Fualosses, you can look at the Mulcharmy Perudias, less so the Perudias because it's morely going to be your Fualosses as you play through the extra deck, but it can also be Draw and Lockbird. Now, Draw and Lockbird will be more effective against you because with a Fualos, you can actually just underplay your turn. You can very easily just make 1 Link Summon, let them replace the Fualos, and then you can still back your plays up with other cards should you want to. So that's it for the entire main deck. Like I've already kind of broken this down, these are cards that are within the Sky Striker deck, they're within the Mitsurugi deck, and then they're very, very cheap upgrades to add on to it. If you don't want to use the Fallen of the Virtuous because you don't want to be adding 20 more pounds investment to this particular deck, that is absolutely fine. Without those, you can very easily go for a 3rd Forbidden Chalice, a 3rd Book of Eclipse, or you could just main deck your Fualosses or Perudias, depending on which one the format or the environment really calls for. So that's it for the entire main deck. Now to take you through the extra deck, and then I'll take you through the side deck, and then the combo, so you've got everything you need. So moving on to the extra deck, let's start off with the cards that are contained within the Sky Striker deck. So we've got the 1 Sky Striker Ace Azalea. So this one is 2 light and or dark monsters. Must be link summoned, and you can only special summon it once per turn this way. Well, once per turn in general, which is the exact same for all Sky Striker Ace cards. If it is special summoned, you target a card on the field and destroy it. Then if you have 3 or less spells in the graveyard, you have to send this card to the grave. And then once per turn at the start of the damage state, if it battles an opponent's monster, you get to banish a spell from the grave to destroy that monster. So it's just a nice way to spot remove one of your opponent's monsters if this card is not going to be strong enough to deal with it. Then got the 1 Sky Striker Ace Zeke. So must be link summoned, and it requires 2 monsters including the Sky Striker Ace card. Remember, linkage and Ray will allow you to bypass their requirements of needing 2, but there are times when you could do it different ways as well. You can only special summon it once per turn, and if it is link summoned, you get to target a face-up monster on the field and you banish it until the opponent's next end phase. And then once per turn, target 1 other card your opponent controls, this card gains 1,000 attack, and then you send that targeted card to the graveyard. Sorry, one other card you control. Then for the link ones, we've got the one, Kana. So you don't have to play this, but the idea behind this one is if it is special summoned, you target a face-up monster your opponent controls, and it can't attack until the end of your opponent's turn. And then each time you activate a Sky Striker spell card or effect, you gain 100 life points. This used to be a time con win option for the deck. You don't need to use it that way anymore. It is literally just there as a link one that will stop one of your opponent's monsters from attacking. Hayate has the ability to attack directly, and then when it does, it lets you send a Sky Striker card from the deck to the graveyard, which is sometimes a way that if you don't get access to your Engage, for example, you can go simply into Hayate. Hayate attack directly, jumping over all of your opponent's monsters, and then dealing 1,500 damage, sending an Engage from deck to graveyard. Main phase 2, you turn your Hayate into Kagari, and then the Kagari adds the Engage back. So very simple old school play. Got the one Suzuku. Now, this is a card that could take up some other spots in the deck that you could very easily play at 2. Some people lean on it only being one-off because of the Lemnis Gate and how fast you now start to go through your cards. But it's entirely up to you if you want to bump this to 2, should you wish. So this one is monsters your opponent controls lose 100 attack and defense for each spell in your graveyard. Once per turn during the end phase, if it was special summoned specifically this turn, you get to add a Sky Striker spell from the deck to the hand with a name different from the cards in your graveyard. So if you don't have an Engage in the graveyard, you can add it. And another technique that a lot of older Sky Striker players used to play, which is something that I still feel is crazy that we don't play it, but I fully make sense, is you would play your Sky Striker Mecha modules multi-roll. And the idea is it basically just meant that your opponent couldn't respond to your Sky Striker spells or just your spells in general. But it also meant that during the end phase, as long as that card was face up, you would go end phase Suzuku, add Widow Anchor, activate Widow Anchor, or even Linkage in this case as a quick effect. And then what would happen is in the end phase, your multi-roll would then be able to resolve and then set those cards you've just used. Again, it's a card you don't need to rely on anymore, which is why most people don't play it. But it's still a really cool card that comes with inside the deck that if you have that one space left over, you can very easily play it and then start to work out the grind game a little bit more. Then got 2 Kagari. Again, these all come in the deck, so you're not having to add more to it. If you wanted to, you could play 3 Kagari, but again, this is where Lemnis Gate comes into play to give you that grind for the later stage plays. And this one gains attack equal to every spell card in your graveyard for 100 per card. And then on special summon, you get to target a Sky Striker spell in the grave and add it back to the hand. So Engage, Engage, Engage. And then we've got the newer cards. So we've got 2 of the newer cards, being the Sky Striker Ace Amatsu. I think this card is actually really cool. So you can only special summon it once per turn, and then when a monster your opponent controls with 2,000 or more attack activates his effect. Quick effect, you get to make the activated effect become destroy a Sky Striker Ace Link monster your opponent controls, which basically means it's kind of like Phantom of Yubel, which is Leo's example, which is perfect. So when they activate an effect, you change that effect to destroy the Amatsu, and in doing so, because it's technically your opponent's effect destroying it, it triggers the Ray in the graveyard to come back. Now, it specifically needs to be when your opponent uses a monster with 2,000 or more attack. And then on top of that as well is when an attack is declared involving this card and the opponent's monster, target a Sky Striker Ace monster you control and one card your opponent controls and destroy them. So it's a change of trade-off for 1-for-1. Then we've got the card that everyone's after a little bit in this deck, and that is going to be the Camellia. So it must first be link summoned. You can only special summon it once per turn. And then once per turn, if you have 3 or less spells in the grave, you send a Sky Striker card from the deck to the grave. If this card is sent to the graveyard, target a monster your opponent controls, special summon this card to your opponent's field, but shift control of it to its owner during the end phase of this turn. And if you do, you send that targeted monster to the graveyard. So again, it's a way of being able to get an Engage to the graveyard or any direct Sky Striker card you want access to, while also then being able to trade off with your opponent's monsters. Now, another card that I've chosen not to put in the deck, but if you wanted to, it's actually really easy to do so, is the other new card that we have in the well, technically you could include the Spectra, but you really don't need to worry about this. The other one that I haven't included, but is still kind of a good option to trial out if you want to, is the combined maneuver Engage 0. So it requires 2 light and or darks. It is always treated as a Sky Striker Ace card. You can only special summon it once per turn. It can't be used as link material. And if this card is special summoned, you get to target one monster on the field with 2,000 or more attack, negate its effects until the end of the turn. At the start of the damage step, if this card attacks while you have a Sky Striker Ace Ray and Rose in your grave, you destroy all monsters your opponent controls. Now, in theory, that's all great. Like, destroy your opponent's monsters, you need to have Ray and Rose. The requirements can be a little bit specific, which is why I'm not using it. But in those scenarios, it could be a game winner. And the reason I'm not playing that is I've decided to play kind of a classic card in the form of Access Code Talker, but you have that option to choose which one you want. So the next cards I've got is the one SP Little Knight. So this was in the Mitsurugi deck. Don't have to play it. Again, this is another one that could very easily be swapped out for this, because there will be times when you go into cards like your best card, being your Sky Striker Ace 0, that you will lock yourself into strikers. So you can only special summon it once per turn. It cannot be used as link material. So this is the big difference with all of the other ace monsters, is that the aces, like your Kogari, can go into Shizuku or can go into Hayate, whereas this card can't. The only way you get this off the field is by using its own effect or by using linkage. So its effects are insane. If it is special summoned, you get to add a Sky Striker spell from the deck or grave back to the hand. You get a quick effect to tribute this card, special summon a Ace Rose and an Ace Ray from the deck and or grave. Then non-target destroy a card on the field. But you can only use one effect per turn and only once that turn. So very, very important, and it's linkage that will lock you into Sky Strikers. This is so important. These are where the cards that you're going to need to invest in. So these are 4 cards. So easy. One is going to be your Sky Striker A0. So up to you if you want to buy a second Legendary Modern deck. But very easy, you just buy this as a single card on its own. It came as a common inside the deck. And like I've already said, the players that are already played Sky Striker either bought one Legendary deck just to be done with it, or there were people out there that just wanted the Mitsurugis or just wanted the X-Sabers and bought 3 of them. There'll be loads of these Sky Striker A0s in common floating around. It's very easy to do. The one Access Code Talker, you probably don't need to play this card anymore. It's just one of these ones that the idea is you've got a Wind in Hayate, you've got an Earth in Kana. To make it more consistently, you would play the Dark Charmer, and it is a little bit dated, but this one could very easily become a third 0. It's just an alternative option that I wanted to show you. If you've already got Access Code Talker and you're like, right, I want to play it and get the use out of it, that's one option you can do for. And the last 2 cards are your 2 Albion the Branded Dragons. These are just your targets off of the Fallen and the Virtuous. If you don't play the Fallen and the Virtuous, again, open up yourself to a third Kogari if you want to, a second Shizuku, or of course you can use the combined maneuver Engage 0. So you're getting a lot of different options for you. It's entirely up to you on which way you wanted to take it, but this is something that I would go with if I had access to the Fallen and the Virtuous. Now, the penultimate part of this entire video is going to be the side deck. So for the side deck, we've got 2 Trill Tactics Thrust. One came in the Sky Striker deck. The other one, I believe, came in, I think it was the Mitsurugi deck. It could have been the X-Saber deck, but, you know, it came within the Legendary Modern decks. And the targets you can get off the back of your Trill Tactics Thrust will be 2 Raigekis, which both came in the Sky Striker deck. Got the 1 Lightning Storm. Again, you could place it 2 if you wanted to. Also came in the Sky Striker deck. 1 Harpy's Feather Duster. And then we've got 2 Fuelos and 2 Perulia. So the single Perulia and a single Fuelos came in the X-Saber deck, but you could very easily just pick up 2 and 2 as commons individuals. They came as commons in Legendary 5D's deck. They came in commons in this one. So again, if someone bought the Legendary Modern decks and they already have the Perulias or the Fueloses, they'll probably be a little bit easier to pick up and get hold of if you wanted to. The final cards you're going to need to put a little bit of money in to get, but nothing too wild. I like the idea of playing free Sales Ban. You don't have to. An alternative to this card would be stuff like Solemn Strikes. Again, both as cheap as each other. This came as a common in OTS 29, I believe it is. And what I like about Sales Ban is there's a spell card that you can call something like a Draw and Lock Bird or a card that might affect your hand when you don't have a crossout designator. Or you just activate Sales Ban to call something like a Desiree on the field or a High Wave King Caesar. And your opponent is either then going to be forced to try and negate this, so you're trading a 1-for-1, or it's going to have to be going through, and then you've already taken care of a High Wave King Caesar, or you've taken care of a Desiree, a Phimena maybe, an Arthulion, a Flame, you name it, you've got loads of different cards you can take out. And then the final 2 cards would be 2 Draw and Lock Birds. I would not be shocked, and part of the reason they weren't in the Legendary Modern decks might be because they may not survive the next list, or they might go down to 1. If that is the case by the time this video comes out, that is not an issue. You change your Draw and Lock Birds, they can very easily, I wouldn't put them for Nibiru's, even though they came in the Sky Striker decks, okay? But you could very easily take these out. These could become a third Fuelos, a third Perulia. They could very easily become a third Raigeki. They could become a second or a third Lightning Storm, a third Triple Tactics Thrust. They could become your Solemn Strike, Solemn Judgment, Solemn Warning. Whatever you want to access to, you've got that flexibility to do it. So that's it for the entire main deck, the extra deck, and the side deck. I feel that if you've got good friends, to upgrade this deck, the only thing it will cost you would be the Fallen and the Virtuous, and that's having good friends. If you don't have so many good friends, Draw and Lock Birds, Sales Ban, second Perulia, and a second Fuelos probably sets you back about 3 from OTA. I reckon you get these cards for free. These were about £3 online, depending on where you're looking. And then the other cards that we've added into the deck as I try to go back through them. Forbidden Chalice, again, a friend should be able to give you them for free. Same with Book of Eclipse, same with Ghost Bell. And then, yeah, I think the Fallen of the Virtuous is the only expensive card you're going to be looking to get into it. And then they will probably come with an Albion for free. The next one that will be a little bit, not even that bad. I reckon you would pay, just to get your second Sky Striker Ace 0, I reckon you could upgrade this deck for like £10 total and get all of this, not including the Fallen and Virtuous. So this deck either becomes like a £20 deck if you just got the Sky Striker deck, or becomes like a £40 deck if you bought the Legendary 5Ds and then get the rest of the missing pieces. So that's it for the entire main deck, extra deck, side deck, and even a breakdown. Now let's show you the basic OTK combo that Sky Strikers have in order to kind of finish the duel off. So I'm going to be back in a second. The OTK combo is very simple and it all comes off the back of Ray after you've been able to clear your opponent's field. There are other ways of doing this, so that rather than utilising the effect of your Sky Striker Ace 0 to utilise its effect to search out linkage, if you already have it, you can use the effect of your 0 to tag itself out to bring out a Rose and a Ray to the deck, and both of those can then attack directly or just attack to do the damage you need to, and then you can use your Ray's effect to tag off. So it really depends on what card you start with, but to keep it very simple for you, let's start off with the Ace monster being Ray. So you normal summon down the Ray after you've already broken your opponent's field, whether that be with Raigeki, Lightning Storms, heck, even Mystical Space Typhoon, and then you get to go to the battle phase. You then attack with your Ray for 1500 damage, use Ray's effect still in the battle phase to tribute it off to special summon out your Sky Striker Ace 0. You then use Sky Striker Ace 0's effect to grab your linkage from the deck to your hand. Then attack with your 0 for 2000 damage, putting 3500 damage directly to your opponent's life points. Still in the battle phase, activate your linkage, send in your 0 to the graveyard to then go into your Kagari. Then what's going to happen here, as we resolve the linkage and we've got a light and a dark in the graveyard, our Kagari is going to go up to 2500 and then use this effect to add the linkage from the graveyard back to the hand. You're then going to attack for 2500, again putting 6000 damage on your opponent's life points, and then because your linkage is not a once per turn, while still in the battle phase, use your linkage to send your Kagari from the field to the graveyard, and then summon down any Sky Striker Ace monster that you wish, whether that be Shizuku, Hayate, or Kana. And the benefit of this one, because we still have a light and dark in the graveyard, your Shizuku is now going to go up to 2500, and you're going to be able to attack for the final amount of damage, doing 8500 damage direct to your opponent, which will then win the game from that point on, being your linkage OTK. Now, as I already mentioned, there are other plays you can make specifically off your 0. So rather using 0 to search out the your linkage, you can use it to tribute off to bring out your Ray and your Rose, and that's going to be 3000 damage, and then use your Ray to tag out if you haven't already done so already. Now, I'll show you those in a test stand video if you want to be able to see more of the Sky Striker deck. I'm really looking forward to this. This might be the next deck that I take to the final local experience before Blazing Dominion, just to kind of show you what this deck can do in person as it is built. Now, as a final note as well, instead of playing the Fallen and the Virtuous, if you wanted to play another engine in the deck, which is also going to be quite cheap and budget, you can play Radiant Typhoon Vision, because it is a quick play spell card that will put a spell card in the graveyard, and you can choose to search out Mystical Space Typhoon to destroy one of your opponent's spells and traps, or which will end up with 2 spells in the graveyard, being your Mystical Space Typhoon and your Radiant Typhoon Vision, or of course you can use it to draw 2 cards and then discard a quick play spell card or your entire hand. So it can be a very, very good involvement to the deck as well, and that will not break the bank. So very cheap, very easy, and it just gives you another alternative to look for that might be better than even Upstart Goblin if you wanted to go down that route. But for now, thank you so much for watching. Hopefully you've given a bit of an insight into what the Sky Striker deck can do. Like I've already said, this is one single copy of the deck from the Legendary Modern decks, with a couple of cards from the Mitsurugi deck, and then just a very, very small investment to increase the power of the deck without going too crazy. Of course, if you want to go crazy with the deck, you can pump even more money into it, but honestly, I don't think you need to. I think this deck can do incredibly well as it is without going crazy, and as long as you know the lines and learn the deck inside and out, you could actually be topping events with this deck very soon. Anyway, thanks so much for watching. Remember to like, comment, subscribe, share. Till next time, as absolutely always, stay safe, and of course, happy dueling.